Hello, everyone. Welcome to this episode of Personne Extraordinaire. Through this interview series, I'm attempting to profile people who've made an extraordinary impact in their respective fields to engage and uplift others and help them be the best versions of themselves. I'm humbled and honored today to introduce to you Miss Reena Gupta, an incredible individual who has made some truly extraordinary work in the field of disability management and advocacy over the last several decades. Reena Gupta is a clinical psychologist and a certified educational therapist. She is the founding director of the Office of Learning Support at Ashoka University. She founded this office in 2016 to support students with disabilities and other neurodiverse needs such as dyslexia. She's focused on expanding the scope of neurodiversity and disability management in higher education in India and has created several collaboration opportunities with schools, universities, and foundations that promote inclusion in their institutions. She is also working with regulatory bodies to establish policy frameworks for disability management in the higher education system in India. She firmly believes that disability and equity is central to achieving quality education for all learners, for them to harness their full potential. Welcome, ma'am. It's amazing to have you here.
Thank you so much, Zen. Thank you for having me here. It's a pleasure and it's an honor too. Honestly, I do feel that it's an honor to talk to you today. So I look forward to our discussion.
Thank you. So, to start with, what is a fun fact about yourself? This can be a favorite animal, food, hobby, or anything else.
Well, that's a great way to start the conversation. Fun fact. Well, Zen, my day starts with and ends with talking with plants. So I am a complete plant lover. If you come to my house, you will see it's like a nursery in my house. Besides that, I love to listen to music and maybe sometime dance. But yeah, so these three are my hobbies, and I love to spend my day, with these three.
What wonderful hobbies, Reena, ma'am. And if I may say so, they're a double blessing as they both help heal the body and mind, as well as make one a more culturally advanced and well rounded person. So, it's really rare that career paths follow a straight line from where they began to where they are now. Could you please share a little bit about your own journey? Who or what was your inspiration, and some interesting experiences along the way that shaped you as a person?
You're absolutely right, Zen. As a career, yes, I have also shifted from one field to the other. I actually was a textile designer, and it just so happened, and I got this opportunity to understand and learn, and also, give my remediation and assessment services for students with learning disabilities. So I got into this education field in the special education, and over these years, over last 20 years, it's been 20 years now, Zen. Over the 20 years, I can't tell you the number of people who have shaped my life. It has been an incredible journey where people from all walks of life have come in, and uh, you know my based on my work with them, I feel that I am a completely transformed person now. And one group of people who I feel have really, really, really made a difference to my life is the student body. Students with whom I have worked, students whom I interact with, not only at college levels, and it has been at school level also. And I feel that, every time with any age group that I work with, especially with the school kids, I have felt like it's me teaching to myself. It has been extremely, I mean, it's been an amazing experience working with the students. So they are the ones who have shaped my life. It has made me a better person. I know that how I started looking at, uh, individual differences. This is something that I talk about every time. In fact, uh, understanding individual differences came into my life only when I got into learning disabilities, got into understanding learning disabilities. I got into educational therapy when I was in the US. So, yeah, I think many people have shaped my life, and students are at the top there in my list.
Thank you so much, Reena ma'am. You make a very, very strong case for listening to one's gut and following one's heart. I'm hugely impressed by how you've managed to integrate different learnings from various stints across your career to grow as an individual as well as a professional. And as always, hearing of other successes and how destiny plays a huge part in it all makes one very hopeful and positive. So you're a very celebrated disability management leader associated with Ashoka University, which is one of the crown jewels in the Indian higher education system. In your line of work, you deal with youth very closely every single day, perhaps at a little too close. So, in what way do you think the pandemic has affected students with disabilities in or outside Ashoka?
Uh, Pandemic has been the a pivotal point in understanding and the visibility of disability. Zen, I if you observed over the last 2 years, I mean the pandemic years, people started understanding the needs of people with disabilities. It is not that people were not, there were no movements before the pandemic happened. People were asking, for decades people were trying to get the attention to the needs of people with disabilities, but it was only during the pandemic years that it became more visible. And it was only mainly because people with no disability got affected by the pandemic, their learning got affected. So in that process, people with disabilities also got the attention. Now, uh, I would say that some people with disabilities, of course, it was a difficult time for everyone. It was more so for people with disabilities because of lack of resources for them, especially when they were they were bound to be at their homes. But what I hear from some people with some kind of disabilities, it worked for them. For some people, it was socially less anxiety provoking, to be at home and be on the screens and learn while not being fully visible. It worked for some, but it did not, of course, work for others. So pandemic has had its mixed, effect on people with disabilities. That's what I have to say.
That's a very interesting perspective, ma'am. Thinking back, I do feel that amidst the issues that the pandemic has brought in its wake, the leverage of technology, opportunities to use social media platforms for social good, engage seamlessly beyond borders with like minded people across the world, and in general, just learning and practicing values such as gratitude and kindness were definitely some of the positives as well.
Yes, yes, totally agree.
So, as founding director of Office of Learning Support at Ashoka University, you were the driving force behind the first ever inclusion in higher education, the Leadership Summit. Personally, I've known you as someone who's been so passionate about introducing and implementing inclusive practices for disability management in academia and industry, and in empowering people with disabilities to self advocate for the right to quality education and other resources. Could you tell us some exciting and exemplary initiatives being undertaken at Ashoka University by the Office of Learning Support?
Uh, there have been quite a few, but I'll talk about the most important ones. Uh, of course, there have been a lot of awareness and sensitization sessions that we did for the community within Ashoka, because that's where we started. We wanted Ashoka. I always saw Ashoka community as a mini India, and if I felt that if I could sensitize and create a culture of allyship and a culture of inclusion within Ashoka, we all together as Ashoka community will be able to replicate it in some way outside Ashoka too. So, talking about the initiatives, so we, like I said, we did a lot of workshops around awareness and sensitization for people with disabilities. And when I say disability, initially it was more about learning disabilities. It was more about the disabilities which are invisible. So that is where we started, but of course slowly we took over the idea and the concept of physical disabilities also, and the awareness around those visible disabilities. So but since, like I told you earlier, since I had worked with the school system also quite extensively, i I did understand that for a student with disability, what all it takes to survive and thrive in a higher education system, right? And the training, the preparation has to start at school level. And that is why we started a college readiness program 2 years back during the pandemic year. So that was another good product that came out of the pandemic. We started this where we would invite all high school and middle school students with disabilities, their parents, the counselors, special educators, leaders, principals from school communities to join this program and understand what all a student has to prepare to be able to get into a higher education, to get into a college, be college ready, be future ready. So this was extremely well received, and it continues. We do this program twice in a year, and we'll be hosting our fourth edition in January. So that has been something that I feel was sorely missing in Indian society, where we did not have anything which would prepare students with disabilities at school level and prepare them for higher education. So that piece is being covered by the college readiness program. Uh, Besides this, we hosted a conference, an international conference on dyslexia in higher education in India. It was, of course, an online conference, and we had famous personalities uh, from all over the world who attended, who presented, who became the keynote speakers, and talked about the understanding of dyslexia, because this was in 2021, last year in October. And besides this, as you said, we also hosted a summit on inclusion in higher education in India. That was also very well attended by many dignitaries from India within. So besides this, lot of programs that we run within Ashoka community. But the top three is what I have discussed with you. I've just mentioned to you.
Reena ma'am, I have to applaud you for your foresight and efforts and the commitment demonstrated by Ashoka University in this regard. Ashoka University is without a doubt one of the stalwarts in higher education in India. And with Ashoka University leading the way, I'm sure many more institutions will follow suit and things can only go north from there. I am very, very inspired by individuals like you who dare to dream and, more importantly, have the courage to make those dreams a reality. Thank you so much for that. So, so Neil Marcus is an actor with a disability, and he once said that disability is not a brave struggle or courage in the face of adversity. Disability is an art. It's an ingenious way to live. Do you believe art in general is an important way to speak up about the lack of accessibility in ableism? Why?
Absolutely, Zen. I strongly believe that art and science, both, if combined together, can make any message delivered as powerfully as it should be. Art definitely is one of the very powerful tools to convey any message. But if that message is rooted in science, that can change the narrative. That will break stereotypes. That will actually, convey the message in a most, uh, you know, in a most amiable way, and so without offending anybody, without pointing any fingers towards anyone. And I strongly feel that, if it is conveyed, I'll give you an example. If like in schools, we read all these comic books, all the books that we have, storybooks. I have rarely seen storybooks or comics, you know conveying a message on disability. But recently a few people have started working on this, and I have seen those books now being distributed in the school community, and I see how that art of storytelling at school level brings in the awareness of any kinds, from that at that school age level, how those impressionable minds can be made more inclusive. And that, of course, that's the power of story writing, that's the power of art. And like I said, deeply rooted into science of any concept. Right now we talk about disability.
You've really nailed it then, Reena ma'am. I strongly believe that if we educate children on the power of differentness starting young, it will come to them naturally. Then our collectively lived experiences will ensure that solutions to social and structural issues that exist today fall in place organically. And if we want to start with children, the only way we can do so is by using the arts, whether it's music, dance, drama, or poetry. We have to ensure it gets absorbed by children in simple bite sized pieces. So, finally, could you please share some parting pearls of wisdom with our listeners on how we can make this world a kinder, more inclusive place to live in?
uh, you know then when we talk about inclusion, it's not only for disability. I feel that inclusion has to be for all underrepresented groups and for anybody else. I strongly, my message to everyone would be, based on my experience so far, what I have to say is that, if we can be more accepting of and respectful towards individual differences, I think that will make all the difference. If we are able to connect with differences amongst the human community, amongst humans, amongst everyone, then we will not need separate movements for inclusion for disability, or inclusion for caste, or inclusion for gender. We don't need that, because if we have understood the art and science behind uh, individual differences, and that can start from your families, that can start from people who are closest to you. That is where it starts. And then, you know inclusion is at a bigger level, at a much bigger level than fighting for, or you know starting any movement around any one kind of an inclusion. So that's my message: be more accepting, be respectful towards, and connect with these differences.
I agree 200%. I'd like to thank you, Reena ma'am. This is so enlightening and so uplifting in equal measures. And I look forward to partnering with you and Ashoka University in your many DEI related initiatives that you spoke of to do my part in spreading the sunshine on such an important topic. Thank you so much once
Definitely,
again.
I look forward to having you on Ashoka campus one day very soon. I will be sending you an invite for that.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
All right, great talking with you.